The U.S. Under-23 roster released, Eddie Johnson returns to MLS, and Brian Ching speaks next on The Daily. Hey everybody, happy Friday and welcome to another edition of The Daily here with Andrew Wiebe. I'm Nick Fershaw and we're going to start with the release for that U.S. Under-23 national team, the camp upcoming later this month. 23-man roster released on Thursday by head coach Caleb Porter. Andrew, 15 MLSers on this roster, 8 guys from the international ranks. February 29th up against Mexico down at FC Dallas Stadium. A big game for them. What did you make of this camp roster?
Well, I think it's interesting just because as many people know, Caleb Porter has said that this could be kind of the beginnings of that group that he takes with him to qualifying in March. So they've got 10 days, and you've got a lot of really nice MLS products in there. Breck Shea, Juan Agudelo, Freddie Adu, Bill Hamid, Teal Bunbury, and then even more. A lot of Akron guys as well, Zarek Valentin, Perry Kitchen, Kofi Sarkodie. So he's got guys he's familiar with, and he's got some guys that are maybe on the front end of that talent pool. So it'll be interesting to see how he mixes that together and uses this 10-day camp to kind of determine where he goes.
Again, 15 MLSers on this roster, but some international talent as well, including Mix Diskerud and Joe Corona, 2 guys I think a lot of people curious to see. Again, Caleb Porter's group, February 29th up against Mexico down at FC Dallas Stadium. Moving on to a topic you guys discussed on Thursday, the return of Eddie Johnson to MLS. On Friday, we're going to find out exactly which team he's headed to through the allocation process. We've heard some rumors about maybe the Colorado Rapids interested in him. What do you make of that?
Well, they made it public yesterday. Oscar Pareja coming out and saying, yes, if we have an opportunity to get Eddie Johnson, he's a guy we would certainly be interested to have on our team. And not a big surprise there. Oscar Pareja and Eddie Johnson played for 5 years together in FC Dallas. He also talked about the missing part of Connor Casey, still recovering from that Achilles injury, so they're going to be a little bit short there up top, so it'd be nice to have him. Another team that hasn't been getting as much talk about them is Montreal Impact. They hold the #1 spot in that allocation order, and obviously Brian Ching going to the Houston Dynamo yesterday, you have to think that they're looking to shore up the forward line as well.
The Impact's head coach Jesse Marsh has talked a little bit, but not that much about Eddie Johnson, maybe entertaining the idea of him joining the Impact. Some more news on a U.S. international potentially coming to MLS. That's Luis Robles. The New York Red Bulls had his eyes on the goalkeeper. Looks like he's not going to come via the allocation process.
Yeah, they had a meeting scheduled for today, actually, but Robles decided to stay back in Germany. The issue stems with that U.S. national team cap in 2009 against Haiti in the Gold Cup. Essentially, New York had been told or understood that he was going to be subject to discovery claim. They made the claim. They were ready to explore the move, but MLS came back and said, hey, he's going to be a part of that allocation process, and once that came up, that kind of switched things for Robles. So he decided to stick back in Germany and assess his options. We'll see if MLS becomes a possibility for him, but if he does come back, he will be subjected to that allocation process.
The New York Red Bulls still trying to fill that goalkeeper slot. They've got a couple guys on the roster, but Luis Robles looks like he's not headed to MLS. Moving on, the big news on Thursday. We talked about it yesterday on The Daily. Brian Ching headed back to the Houston Dynamo via trade from the Montreal Impact. Brian Ching met the media yesterday. Jesse Marsh talked to the media, as well as head coach Dominic Kinnear from the Houston Dynamo joined us on Extra Time Radio. Looks like not a lot of hard feelings. Everybody kind of got what they wanted, but a lot of people still questioning that Impact deal and what they got in the trade.
Yeah, some commentary coming out of Montreal wondering why the Impact didn't hold out a little more, especially considering their lack of depth up top right now. But Brian Ching saying to the media in Houston, this is what I wanted all along, and reports are that he took a pretty significant pay cut to make that happen. So you can see exactly how much he wanted to be back there and back for the opening of BBVA Stadium, which is a big deal for him. On the Impact side, they're going to have to find a way to fill that void. As we talked about Eddie Johnson going out today, and we'll see if they can use that position to parlay that into some forward depth.
One other forward with a brand new team, that's Barry Robeson with the Vancouver Whitecaps, the second designated player for the Vancouver Whitecaps. He met the media as well, the Scottish international, with some great things to say about MLS.
Yeah, I think the key that jumps out to me is that he said it was a no-brainer for him. He had plenty of other options. Middlesbrough was attempting to renew his deal, but as soon as he got that interest from Montreal and from MLS, he decided that's where he was going to go. And he may be 33, but it seems he has quite a bit left. 8 goals, 4 assists right now in the championship, which is known to be a little bit rough and tumble. So we'll see if he fits in MLS with those credentials.
You got to wonder where he's going to fit on that Vancouver Whitecaps roster, considering they've brought in so many offensive talents during the offseason. A lot of eyes in the 2012 season on the Vancouver Whitecaps. Last but not least, a look across the pond at Europa League. 5 U.S. internationals in action on Thursday, and Andrew, the big headliner, 2 in one game.
Yeah, the only one that didn't get a result was Sasha Kleshtin, whose Anderlecht team lost to Josie Altidore and AZ 1-0 in the Netherlands. That one will be decided in a few weeks, but everybody else with good results. 2-2 draw for Agushi Onyewu in Sporting, and Dolo and his Hanover team get a late winner. So that was a good one for the Americans abroad.
Well, you can find a complete list of all the Americans abroad in American exports on MLSsoccer.com. And don't forget, we mentioned it before, the latest edition of Extra Time Radio is out. We had Dominic Kinnear from the Houston Dynamo, as well as Caleb Porter, the head coach for the U.S. Under-23 national team, talking about that roster breakdown. And also, the Simon Borg shaved his head on the podcast on Thursday in honor of the new sponsorship jersey for the Columbus Crew. Barbasol seemed very comfortable, seemed very good. You can find that on iTunes and Buzzsprout. And for all the latest headlines in MLS, log on to MLSsoccer.com.